Well, good morning.
Good morning.
We got a special guest for you today. Actually, three special guests for you today. We've got Kyle Rust and his babies, Maverick and Moose. Welcome, Kyle. Woo!
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure. Now, this is a first for us, Kyle, having puppies run with us. So
I'm sure not a lot of people are out running 6, 8, 10 miles with their dogs. So.
Well, tell us a little bit about where you're from. Where are you from?
I grew up, born and raised in Fort Thomas, Kentucky. Lived there my whole life. Went to University of Cincinnati for college.
Woo! Yeah, we love you.
Grew up playing sports, football, baseball, basketball, soccer, all of it. Yeah.
So, you didn't play football or anything in college? Or
No, I
yeah.
just up through high school and then went to college, and that was the end of my athletic career.
Yeah, I get it. That's most people's.
Yep.
Yeah, usually probably most people's when they enter high school these days.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite sport back
Baseball.
Baseball.
Baseball, yeah. It was my favorite and my best sport, so.
Yeah. That, a lot of people love that sport.
Yeah.
Now, when did you start running?
So I really started getting into running after I had open heart surgery. I didn't grow up running. I didn't come from a family who was like running 5Ks on the weekend or going out and running as fun. The only time I really ran as a kid was for sports.
And for when you were in trouble in sports, right?
Yeah.
Run a lap,
Run a lap, or run the bases, or something. Run poles.
Yeah.
Whatever it was. That was really the only time I ever ran per se. I got into it a little bit in college during kind of just when I was going through some weight training stuff and wanted to cut or do all that stuff, but that was really my only running that I've ever had, I ever did before.
So until you started running, I mean, what you had open heart surgery. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a very, very long story that I try to.
Well, we have 8 miles, so if you want.
That I try to give the details, but not go on for days.
Yeah. I got it.
So I went. It was 2021, December of 2021, and I went in for a yearly physical to my family doctor that I've been seeing for many, many years.
Well, how old are you? Let me ask you that real quick.
I just turned 27.
27. So, gosh, you were only.
So I was 22 years old at the time.
22 years old. Wow.
And went in for a yearly physical. Went through the whole thing. He got towards the end, pulled out the stethoscope, and started listening to my heart. And I could tell something was off because he just had this awkward face. One that I had not seen him have before.
Yeah.
Kind of just the vibe changed completely. And he looked at me and asked if he had ever said I had a heart murmur before, or if anybody else, any other doctors had asked me about it. I said no. He went and looked at my chart to see if he had noted anything prior to that. And he realized that there was nothing in my medical history that said anything about me ever having a heart murmur. So he seemed kind of concerned, not crazy, but knowing the lifestyle, the athletic activity lifestyle I live, he just went ahead and said, I want to be proactive and just rule anything out, and sent me for an echocardiogram. So I got scheduled for that. About 2 weeks later, I went in for that. As I left that echocardiogram, those take about an hour. They told me, I asked when I would get the results back, and they told me, probably about 2 or 3 days from now. We gotta let the cardiologist read it and do all that stuff, and then get the results back. So I went on about my day. I was slightly nervous leading up to it and afterwards.
Well, yeah, I can see why.
Just because, this is not something I was expecting, but in my mind, I was like, well, I'm healthy, I'm fit. This is
And
just
you've never had any issues before, as far as you knew.
No.
Yeah,
No.
at that point.
And I thought, well, I'm healthy, I'm fit. Maybe this is just a one-off thing. And so I went on about my day the following day and went to work. And then I went to the gym. And at the gym, I get a phone call and I look down and it's my family doctor. And this was less than 24 hours after the echo. And he was like, he sounded very, very concerned. And he's like, look, we got to get you in to a cardiologist immediately. I don't have all the results and all the details, but from what I'm seeing and what I've been told, this is a rough situation and we need to get it checked out immediately. And
Yeah, that's serious.
he told me he had already scheduled me to see a cardiologist the following day, or that Friday. I think I got the results on like a Wednesday.
Yeah.
He had me scheduled for a Friday. He told me, if you want to see a different cardiologist, you can, but you need to see one within the next, as soon as possible.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. So what's the time frame between that and then your open heart surgery? Like how quickly did you?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh wow.
Yeah, so I got the results, called my mom immediately and was like, hey, he said we could get a cardiologist, and my mom wanted me to see the specific one that actually went to medical school with my uncle, had treated my other family members, my grandparents. So
you have an uncle that's a doctor?
Yeah, he delivers babies, so
Okay.
not a hard doctor.
Yeah,
but
gotcha, yeah.
So my mom was like, well, me knowing kind of the cardiologist field from, taking grandparents to visits, it's not something like you call up and you can get in the next day.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Normally it's a couple weeks, maybe a month. So I'm like, all right, you can call and see if I can get in with him, but I already have one scheduled. We'll keep that one scheduled. And so 25 minutes later, she calls me back and says, hey, I've got you scheduled for next Monday. This was like Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm like, wow, I don't know what you did, what you told him, but all right. So I go in to see the cardiologist on that Monday, and he basically broke it all down for me. Said I had severe mitral valve regurgitation, which meant the mitral valve in my left ventricle was not closing properly, allowing blood flow instead of to be pushed out into my body to push oxygenated blood to like all my muscles and my body to let it function. Most of that blood was actually being sucked back into my heart.
Oh wow.
And not going out into my body. So in turn, my heart was working 2 to 3 times harder than it should be to get blood to my body to basically keep me alive.
Yeah.
So I was obviously in shock. No 22-year-old wants to hear that. And he told me that my heart was severely enlarged, which is not what you want in a heart. You want it to be small and efficient, not big and thick.
Right.
Which is unlike a lot of muscles in your body. You want them to be big and thick. Your heart, you want it to be small and slim and efficient. So he basically told me, really your only option is open heart surgery. He said we could monitor it and see you back in a month, but he's like, to be honest with you, I don't really want to mess around with this. In my opinion, it's gotten to the point where there's no other option other than open heart surgery. So he's like, actually, one of the surgeons that was like a pioneer in creating this new open heart surgery style called minimally invasive open heart surgery was in the office that day, and he's like, I'm gonna go down the hall and see if he'll consult on your case. So 5 minutes later, he comes walking back down with the surgeon, and I'm meeting with the cardiologist and the surgeon that day. And he told me I was a good case for his surgery, and he'd like to take me on as a patient. So the following day, I came back and did a full consultation with the surgeon. He described everything that they were going to do, how the surgery was going to go, the recovery process, everything. And he's like, so when do you want to do this? And I luckily have a fantastic support system. My mom went to every visit with me, which I was lucky because at that moment in time I was kind of zoned out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's
Because I just was so overwhelmed. And she was like, well, if we could have done it yesterday, I would have liked that. And the surgeon was like, yeah, I would have liked to have done it yesterday too. Because this is one of the worst cases I've seen at this young of an age.
wow.
And so he was actually going out of town that weekend to do a conference about his surgery model. So he's like, let's get you scheduled for next week. And then the following Wednesday, March 15th, 2022, I had open heart surgery.
Wow. So 2022, you had your open heart surgery. So how's the recovery look like? So you have that open heart surgery. Like, when do you decide, oh, I'm gonna start running? I mean, how long does that go?
So I had to spend 3 days in the hospital after. So those first 3 days were terrible.
Did they like cut your chest bone open and all
No,
that?
so
or
actually
minimally?
that was the minimally invasive. They didn't have to go through my breastbone.
Okay.
They went through underneath my right pectoral muscle. So I have a much smaller incision on the side of my right pec.
Okay.
And they went up under the muscles and went that way instead of having to, crack me all the way over.
Yeah.
Which made the recovery a little shorter.
Yeah, but I'm still sure.
But it also, they told me that because I was in such good shape and I had so much I had so much muscle on my body that it was actually going to be a harder recovery, because not only was my, heart trying to recover, all the muscles, they were so tight that because of that, it like messed with the recovery and all that.
Yeah.
So, but I spent 3 days in the hospital, and then that was a very hard time. I mean, it's a very humbling experience when you can't stand up out of your bed on your own, can't lay down into your bed on your own, you can't go to the bathroom on your own, you can't get dressed. It was a very humbling experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah, coming from being an athlete your whole life.
Exactly.
A couple weeks before you were
Yeah.
active, seemingly
I was-
healthy.
Yeah.
I was going to the gym all the way up until surgery day.
Did you feel like your heart rate was like racing when you were lifting at all before surgery?
So a lot of people ask me that, of like if I had any symptoms. Now looking back in hindsight, hindsight's 2020, I can say yes, I had symptoms that probably were showing this, but I also grew up and have dealt with seasonal allergy-induced asthma. So at that time, that was kind of when that also kicks in the year. So I was just relating it to that, or being out of shape, not having the cardiovascular endurance that,
Yeah.
So yes, I felt my heart rate maybe ticking up a couple beats. One thing I did notice, and I was very concerned about before I learned about all this, was I noticed my blood pressure being very elevated, like in the 140 to 150 range at that top number when I was just sitting down.
Okay.
And my parents were racking their brains trying to figure out why that was happening before we knew any of this, and we were relating it to diet. Maybe I was eating too much sodium.
Yeah, I
this
mean,
and
at
that.
22, were you did you hit like monsters and that sort of stuff, or not
No,
really? You weren't a Red Bull guy?
I was, the only caffeine I drank, I would drink a coffee in the morning, and that was about it.
Okay.
I've never really been a pre-workout guy, an energy drink guy. Maybe occasionally, but it was nothing like I'm drinking 3 monsters a day or 8 coffees a day.
Yeah, because then you
Where
could
it
have easily attributed it to that,
Exactly.
maybe like, oh yeah, I should probably back off of that stuff.
So, yeah, I was like, they told me when they said I needed open heart surgery, and I met with the surgeon. That was on like a Thursday, and I wasn't having surgery until the following Wednesday. He looked at me and told me, he's like, I understand this is gonna be hard for you, but you are not allowed to go to the gym. You're not allowed to do anything that's going to raise your heart rate, because honestly, I don't know when your heart will give out.
Yeah.
So, I didn't abide by that. I went to the gym up until the day before surgery, but I'm still here, so I can joke about that.
Yeah.
But,
But afterward now, like when you're healing, like that is kind of a crucial phase where you're not, obviously you probably don't feel like going to the gym too much, during the healing phase. But you know, it's one of those where, gosh, everything's still healing in there, and you really do have to be careful not to.
Yeah, that first day in the hospital, right after surgery, they came in about 4 or 5 hours after my surgery and said, all right, it's time to stand up. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like dying over here of this pain. And they brought about 3 nurses in and got me on the edge of the bed, got me ready to stand up. And I went to stand up, and my legs started quivering and shaking, and the nurses were holding on to each arm, and it was like a fireball was lit up in my head.
Wow.
And everything went white, everything started spinning, and I fell back down onto the bed. And again, a very humbling experience. You can't even stand out of bed at 22 years old.
Yeah.
So they were like, all right, we'll try that again tomorrow. And so after that, I kind of kept hearing my grandfather's voice in my head, like, you can't let this break you. You can't, you got to keep pushing forward. You got to attack this recovery.
Now, I'm guessing he was dead at that time, or your grandfather?
Yeah.
Did that concern you at all, thinking that might be, that voice is in your head? Is he like right there? Am I dead? You know?
No, because we'll get to that part of the story later.
Okay.
Because I actually did see them, my 2 dead grandparents, during my surgery, but we'll get to that later. So I took the mindset that I was going to attack the recovery, and I just zoned in, put my blinders on, and went full force at the physical recovery. And I'm saying the physical recovery because a lot came later that wasn't physical, but
yeah, just mental.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dealing with all that. And so I even looked at it was March. I looked at one of my nurses. There was a video, or like an ad for the Flying Pig Marathon. And I looked at my nurse. I said, wouldn't it be cool if I had open heart surgery like a couple days ago, and in 2 months I go run the Flying Pig Marathon? And she laughed, and she's like, yeah, I don't think you should do that. And I'm like, all right. She's like, I think you should just worry about getting up out of bed and walking to the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
So the next day I got up out of bed. Then it was walk to the door and back of my hospital room. Then it was walk out to the nurse's station and back. And then it finally became walking laps around the nurse's station in the hallway. And I swear I made a path indented in that floor because I walked so many laps around that nurse's station, because I was one, I got so bored sitting in the hospital, and 2, I was just so focused on, I'm not gonna let this break me. So after those 3 days, I went home, and it was the same thing. I had Moose that I had just adopted 3 days before my surgery, and he gave me a purpose to get up every single day. He gave me a reason to get up and move, because I couldn't sit around with a 3-month-old lab puppy who needed energy.
Yeah, they need to run.
Needed to be potty trained and trained. So he gave me a reason to get up and gave me something to do for the next 8 weeks.
I hear that with people with their kids too. They're like that too. Like if they have a really traumatizing time in their life, that they're like, if it wasn't for my family, I wouldn't be here. Like they pushed me to do it.
I luckily had an incredible support system of family members, parents, extended family, who were constantly there trying to support me. And mainly it was my mom, my dad, my sister, and then Moose, who just kept me in positive mindsets, even when I was so like just done with the pain, all of it, and just trying to deal with everything that I was dealing with at that time. But they helped me out a lot. So then it became walking Moose out to the backyard to go to the bathroom, and then it became walking him down the driveway around the circle of my cul-de-sac in the front yard, or walking him down the hill and back up the hill. And I set my mind to all these little things, and then 2 weeks after I got out of a hospital was when I could go and start cardiac rehab. So I went to cardiac rehab, and it was, all right, you're walking on a treadmill for 5 minutes, you're on the elliptical for 5 minutes and you're on the bike for 5 minutes. And again, I just attacked it. I was trying to get my heart rate up and just trying to do everything I possibly could to let my heart recover. And then about 2 weeks into that was when I was like, I asked the nurses in cardiac rehab, I said, when do you think it would be a good time for me to try running on the treadmill? And they said, give it a week and we'll see. And they kept trying to push it off, and I just kept asking every single day I was there. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, every week. And finally they were like, all right, you can try it. And I started running, and it was that 5-minute run on the treadmill was what led me to all this.
Yeah.
So it was, the recovery was very hard. I couldn't go to work for 8 weeks. I couldn't do really much of anything other than sit at home and go to cardiac rehab for 8 weeks after the hospital, and then I was kind of off to the races after that.
Yeah. So you've had Moose since the surgery.
Correct.
And then Maverick, that Doberman over there, you got him, how long ago did you get him?
I got him about 2 years ago. He's actually gonna be turning 3 here in October. So about 2.5 years ago, I got him. He's been running with me. He just finished his rookie year of running. And then Moose has been running with me for about 3 years now.
So fast forward a whole bunch here. What's the furthest distance these guys have ran with you?
We just did a 50K back in April, where it was kind of a backyard ultra of some family friends of mine.
Yeah.
And you ran a 5K every hour on the hour for 10 hours.
Okay.
So
Wow.
31 point whatever it is, 2-3 miles. That's how far we've done in one single day.
Wow. That's impressive.
And then they've ran marathons, half marathons, so yeah.
What's it like training them up to get to run long distances?
Yeah, so you're not supposed to like run with puppies until they're fully matured. It's about 12 to 18 months to let their growth plates like fully fuse, and because it can mess up their growth and their joints and all that. So Moose started when he was about 1 year old, and we just started at that time was when I was just getting back into it, getting into running. So it was, let's go out and run 2 miles or 1 mile and then walk a little bit, or just building up from there. And then when I got Maverick, it was the same thing. I would only take him out after he was 18 months old for when me and Moose were doing 2-3 miles on the day, and then just building up from there. But like I say, I try to tell people when they say I'm crazy or I'm working them too hard, is that they're both 2 working line breeds. Moose is a lab pit mix and Maverick's a Doberman. They were bred to work, and this is their job.
Yeah.
So,
This probably
and they
chills
love
them
it.
out a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you call it running, but just looking at them, it looks like they're just like
Yeah.
on an easy stroll.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
just an easy stroll for them.
Yeah.
So it's their job. It's a way for me to get their energy out. It's a way to spend time with them. It's a way to have just solitude with us 3, doing something hard and spending that really good deep time together. And that's all that I've ever wanted. I grew up, I also related, I grew up an Air Bud kid.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was my dream as a little boy, was to have my dog be playing sports with me and going everywhere with me. So this is my version of that.
Yeah, so you kind of got into it in a way that maybe wasn't. It's weird how life
Yeah,
works,
it wasn't
isn't
planned.
it?
That's
Yeah.
for sure.
It's like, here's your dream. Here it is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of stuff lives on the subconscious level, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't really, you never think about it till it happens.
Yeah, like I say I got into running because, like I said, I grew up and kind of was in college with a strength training, weightlifter, bodybuilders type style of lifting and exercising. And after my surgery, I took the approach like, all right, what can I do for my heart that can strengthen it like I would be doing curls for my bicep or squats for my legs? Like, what is it that I can do to help that muscle, because the heart's a muscle, to be able to heal and come back better than it was before? And it all, obviously, all roads led to endurance training.
Yeah.
Whether that be on the bike, running, swimming, all of that. So it was just kind of a mix. And then finally running kind of took took the lead on everything else because it was a time where I could be alone and have to think about my thoughts and what I was going through at the time mentally. Because like I say, on a 10-mile run or 8-mile run, even 5 miles, you can't run from your demons and what you're dealing with. You have to sit in it, you have to let it sink in, and you have to just break it down bit by bit. It's literally a form of meditation for me. So,
well, what's amazing to me is that you're talking, you're able to talk. It doesn't even seem winded to me. I'm like, whoo, man. Many of us, many of our guests, they got a little winding to them when they're. I mean, we're maybe running a little slower than, but it's not like we're not moving. It's a Monday morning too.
Yeah.
You kind of feel like Superman now after your heart surgery. You're like, well, I was working 3 times as harder before.
well,
Now it's at the normal pace.
Yeah, I mean, like
a
you
little
feel.
bit. I definitely feel. I say right now I'm probably in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
After surgery, when you're on all these medications, most of them to help the heart recover and to keep your heart rate and blood pressure low, so your heart's not working so hard.
Yeah.
And I was told I was going to be on those medications for the rest of my life. And as somebody who, I'm not quite like crazy about not taking meds and doing all this, but I didn't want to be taking 4, 5, 6 pills for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That was also not allowing me to perform the way I wanted to perform out running.
Yeah, because it always seseems like there's a side effect to every pill you take.
When I was on those medications, it was like when you put a governor on a car.
Yeah.
I would get to a certain point, it was like my heart was revving, and it would just shut down, and it wouldn't let me go any farther. So for a long time I dealt with that. I dealt with a lot of side effects from the medication, drowsiness, headaches, all that. So I really wanted to be off those, and finally after about 2 years, I got connected with a new cardiologist. He did a bunch of tests, stress tests, and was like, yeah, your heart is healed. You have a normal heart now, and you have a better performing heart than a lot of regular people. So I think it's okay if we test not taking these medications anymore. So now I've been about 2 years completely off all heart medications whatsoever. And so yes, to answer your question, I do feel more capable than I ever have. I guess.
So what's your medicine regimen right now?
Literally, it's just allergy medicine and some vitamins, beef liver pills. That's about it. It's a multivitamin, ashwagandha, beef liver.
So really no prescription
No.
stuff, just natural stuff.
Yeah, just a bunch of natural, like, if I start feeling a little rough, I'll take some vitamin C.
Yeah.
Or like, I try to be as minimalist as possible when it comes to what I'm putting in my body, because I've gotten to the point where I know what works. I know what allows me to do what I want to do on a day-to-day basis, and I try to stick to that.
What do you do for the dogs? Do you kind of diet there, or are they on?
Yes, I've been feeding them a raw food diet mixed with some kibble ever since I got Maverick and Moose for about 3 years. So they get a blend of, like, I'll go buy bags of chicken leg quarters and I'll grind them up. They get beef liver, they get lamb hearts and lamb liver and pork hearts and beef hearts and a lot of organ meat, muscle meat, bones. And I've found that allows them to perform as well every single day, where, again, I'm not against the kibble field of products, but I try to give my body the best nutrition I possibly can. So I took that into consideration with them and did a lot of research and found that fresh and or raw food was just going to be the best, most healthy thing for them and let them live the longest, most fulfilled life that they possibly could. And I figure if I get an extra 2 or 3 years out of them because of what I feed them, it's worth
Yeah.
it's a slightly bigger price than going and buying a bag of kibble. So
Yeah.
I mean, they're the best running partners you could ask for. They don't
Exactly.
complain.
they got a smile on their face every day.
Yeah.
They ran the flying pig with me this year, and the people on the bikes, the workers on the bikes kept coming by, and they're like, they're looking like they're having the best time in the world. I'm like, yeah, they are. This is, like I said, their job, and they love it.
Yeah, they're pushing you to go every morning.
Yeah,
not
they're
the other way around.
They're my built-in pacers. They truly are. They keep me on pace and they keep me on schedule.
Do you ever take them on like normal walks? Is that something you can do, or do they always just want to run?
We go on normal walks. I take them to a lot of places. Like I said, my goal when I got a dog was I want to be able to take them as many places as possible. So they'll go for a walk to get a coffee or go to a restaurant with us where we can sit outside. So they are definitely like normal dogs outside of when in the mornings or whenever we're getting our runs in.
Do these dogs have any girlfriends or anything, or what are they?
No, we're all just lone wolves out here in one pack. That's for sure. And maybe someday, that's the goal.
Yeah. Maybe when they retire.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping they last till can run with me till about 7 or 8. But we'll see how it goes. I don't want to work their joints too hard too late in their life. But as long as they still want to keep coming out with me, they'll be right there with me.
Now, is it labs that sometimes their hips go bad, or is that
It's mostly all large breed dogs, or medium to large breed dogs, have that hip dysplasia that they can get, where it's just basically their hips just give out. But that's why, again, trying to give them the best nutrition, the best vitamin supplements, and just kind of that hopefully should prolong that as far as possible.
Well, and I think just the exercise, the strengthening, this is really good. I mean, I think as you get older, older people, I think a lot of our accidents happen when we're just doing regular everyday things.
Correct. Yeah.
You get out of bed and walk to the fridge and you're like, oh, I just pulled a muscle in my back.
Yeah.
What the heck,
Yeah, I've had plenty of people saying, oh, you should not be running them that far, you should not be doing all that, you shouldn't, do they ever get time to rest? And I'm like, well, these aren't your average, at this point, these are not your average house pets.
Yeah.
In my head, they are high performing endurance athletes, and that's how I try to treat them. It's like when it comes to our running, they are, and their feeding and their rest and recovery, so they get plenty of time on the couch and in their beds and sleeping at the end of my bed. They get plenty of recovery, that's for sure.
I mean, they look super healthy. Their coats look so beautiful.
Yeah, that's what I get a lot from the vet. They're like, oh, their nails are so filed down. I'm like, yeah, well, they run on the bike and they're basically out on the concrete all the time, so I never have to clip their nails, that's for sure.
So those boots, is that just more for the heat of the blacktop, the asphalt?
Yeah, it helps with the heat. Oh, we gotta wrap it. It helps with the heat. Whoa, stop. It helps with the heat, but it also helps just because we are running so much. Their pads, just like our feet, if we went out and ran barefoot over and over again, they'll get a little sore or blisters or a little worn down and calloused. So just to kind of give their paw pads a little rest. They don't wear them every day, maybe 2 or 3, 4 times a week. We'll put them on our easy runs just to give their paws a little rest.
Yeah.
When you first put them on, did they walk all weird?
Oh yeah, they're like all up here. They're kicking their back legs like a donkey, and yeah.
Now, how about in the winter? What do you kind of wear the same boots like that in the winter?
Yeah, they have a little bit more rugged boots. Like this winter was brutal with the ice and the severe cold and the snow. It was really rough on their paws. So, I mean, if it gets bad enough conditions-wise, I will do a treadmill run and then give them the day off. But yeah, they have some other more rugged boots for the winter, but nothing too crazy. a lot of rabbits out here, ain't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of rabbits, yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Get a look at the pups here real quick. Good morning, how you doing? Good.
How often do you have to wash them? I'm sure it's a little bit more often, right? With them working out so
Just
much.
about the norm.
Yeah.
Because if you wash them too much, they'll start to get dandruff in their skin.
Okay.
They're not quite like humans where
They don't
it's,
sweat.
yeah, this is something I learned through all this and research, is their form of releasing heat is obviously through panting, but they also release heat through their paws. So the one thing that does smell on them is them shoes when they have them on.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, we're familiar with that,
Yeah,
I guess.
everybody has that.
That's
So.
right.
Do those shoes kind of inhibit their ability to kind of get that heat out?
A little bit, but it's like a give and take. Maybe it doesn't allow them to release as much heat, but it also, in the heat, saves your paws from being burned,
Yeah.
Yeah.
overworked. So it's kind of a give and take. It's just like, I mean, classic running shoes, like they say, aren't the best optimal thing for your toes and feet. So
Right.
it's kind of like the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a give and take to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to run barefoot, but I know that stepping
Yeah,
on
we're
one of
not-
them little rocks.
We're not all Tarzan.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, what's next for you, Kyle? I mean, what do you have on the horizon? I mean, do you have a training like schedule that you follow for say this marathon or this ultra marathon that you want to do? Or?
So kind of what's next on our calendar is the Chicago Marathon. We're doing the Chicago Marathon in October. I'm actually running with the American Heart Association's charity team.
Okay.
So we're actually doing, along with kind of my own personal fundraising, we're fundraising for that, for the charity team. And then kind of, I'll get into the whole mission, but with our mission for this year of running 2,000 miles, for a specific reason, it was, I wanted to do something big. Something towards the end of the year that was like kind of the showstopper and really brought a lot of attention to what we're trying to do and what I'm trying to accomplish. And that kind of, you see on the internet and Instagram, you kind of get jealous of all these people running these 100-mile races, or, I mean, heck, on the Arizona 300 or whatever.
Yeah,
Monster,
the
whatever.
Cocodona 250.
Yeah, like, I'm like, geez,
Yeah.
what could I do that's gonna be
Yeah.
like crazy enough where people are like, holy cow, this heart survivor's out here doing this. So I think I've kind of dialed down the week of Thanksgiving, so I don't have to take so many days off of school. I'm going to do a run across Kentucky. Start down at the Tennessee border and run all the way up to my hometown, basically to Cincinnati.
Oh, wow.
About 210 miles, and try to do it in about four-ish days. So that's
Wow.
just trying to like bring as much attention and engagement to, by doing something physical that a lot of people said and still think that I shouldn't be doing and can't do. So, and just to use that to show what I've been through, and I'm still able to do these type of things and push myself, and hopefully be some sort of motivation to others.
Oh, yeah, that's a heck of a.
So that's really, there's a big two that we're training for right now. So we're kind of following a training plan really for the Chicago Marathon, and then just kind of gonna go attack 200 miles through Kentucky.
So, do you have dates on that yet? Exactly when you're going to do that? Or?
I'm planning to start I'm planning to just go down to the border on the Friday.
Do like a
the week
recon
before,
and kind of
the
check
week
things?
before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So what's that, like the 21st, the 20th? And then start that Saturday, whatever that is, 21st,
Okay.
22nd.
Yeah.
And go probably Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, depending on if we can accomplish how many miles we can accomplish every day. 'Cause
Okay.
if we did 4 days, it'd be about 50 miles a day. If we did 5, it'd be about 40 to 42 miles a day. And, I plan to have the dogs with me. I'm gonna have probably my family kind of crew for me and drive along the route in case I need anything. Or
No, I don't
get
want
the
to
dogs
invite
off, but-
ourselves or anything, but you know, if you want to.
Yeah, at some point, I'm trying to invite anybody who wants to come out through my whole course. I'm trying to, at some point, I'm going to start reaching out to my contacts at the American Heart Association and maybe try to do a couple stops at some hospitals or to go to some cardiac units. And I don't know, it's still kind of a work in progress.
Yeah.
Kind of the fine detail portions, but if you want to come run with me as I'm going up, I'm going to run up Route 27 the whole way. So
Okay.
we'll go straight up Route 27. It'll take us through Lexington, London, Paris, up to, through
Sounds
Highland
like a
Heights.
world tour talking that way
Yeah,
in
I know.
Kentucky, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if anybody wants to come out and join in for a couple miles, they can,
Yeah.
that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I think we could probably squeeze a portion of a day for
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
with you.
I mean,
That'd
think
be
about
awesome.
how long it takes to, like after a vacation, driving through Kentucky.
Yeah, you drive and it's
Like, oh,
about
this is taking forever. Imagine running it.
3 or 4 hours. So I'm like, trust me, everybody in my life, when I came up with this idea of Heart and Hound and to run 2,000 miles for 2,000 young lives that are lost every year to sudden cardiac arrest, everybody in my life thought I was crazy. They're like, 2,000 miles, oh my gosh, that's insane. And I'm like, well, guys, I trained for a half Ironman last year, and I biked and swam and did all that, and I still got to like 12 or 1,300 miles. I think I can do 2 if I'm just focused on running. But everybody's still like, oh, that's too much. And well, now we're July 6th, and I'm up over 1,500 miles already.
Wow.
We're shooting for 2,000 plus, trying again.
2,000 plus, just your goal. So let's go into that a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay, so with Heart and Hound, that's your organization.
My mission, yeah.
Yeah, your mission, and that is to run what 2,000 miles plus
Correct.
a year annually, or because you're way ahead of that, right? Like that's
My goal, it started as a 2026 goal. Since I went through all this, and then I went through all my mental health journey and all that, I've been trying to, for so long, I didn't want to share or feel comfortable sharing anything about my story. I didn't want to be looked at as a victim or as, like I describe
you don't want
it
anybody
like,
feeling sorry for you.
Exactly.
Right.
Like when somebody says they have cancers, most people look at them a little different, and it's kind of the same feeling. It's like, I just didn't want to be seen as that person.
Yeah.
And I'm a very to myself person in general. And then I met a woman who kind of went through a near-death experience, kind of like me, and she was like, it's a gift. So I started treating it as that, and when I started sharing, more and more people started reaching out and saying how awesome it was, and then so I started coming up with this idea of like, what can I do to do even more? And like I said, I'm always on. I have the feeds on Instagram, like everybody says. I feel like a loser half the time because I'm watching people on Instagram or YouTube running hundreds of miles every week.
Well, you got to remember,
and I'm like,
social media
Exactly.
is you're seeing the tip-top best
Exactly.
of the best.
I'm just saying I fall into the same trap that most people
Right.
do.
For sure.
And I'm like, well, what can I do? And I've heard of people running across states. I actually know a family friend of mine that I grew up playing baseball with a kid. His dad would run across states for Alzheimer's.
Okay.
So that was kind of my idea, and I'm like, well, I don't want to just run around through a random state.
Yeah.
So let's do Kentucky, and then, but yeah, the mission started as, let's run 2,000 miles because through my research after all this was like, how many people actually go through what I've been through? Young people. How many young people die every year of what could have happened to me? I could have very easily gone into sudden cardiac arrest if my doctor wouldn't have sent me for an echo. And I found that approximately, I'm not saying this number is 100%,
Right.
but approximately 2,000 people under the age of 25 every single year die of sudden cardiac arrest.
Wow.
And it's the leading cause of death in young athletes.
Wow.
We all read the stories of this young athlete, this 16-year-old or college athlete who practicing and they collapse. We all read those stories.
Yeah.
So the goal was, well, 2,000, what can I do with that number? Let's run 2,000 miles in a year. Let's run 2,000 miles in a year. And that's what it became. And then it became, well, gonna do this, I started doing the numbers. I'm like, that's 5.5 miles a day. I'm kind of gonna have to run every day. I want to hit that. So then it turned into just running every day and showing up every day, because for those families, for the kids who are no longer with us, to be their voice, but also for the families who don't have the opportunity to get up and hug their kid today.
Yeah.
Or to get up and take their kid on an adventure, or a family who has to bury a child long before they ever should have to. And if I can't get up and lace up my shoes every day and get out and deal with whatever I'm dealing with, because what they're dealing with is 10 times worse than what I'm dealing with every single day. And if I can't get up every day and run for them, then what's my purpose?
Right. Well, I think once you look at it that way and get out of your own head,
Yeah.
and you know you're out there, you could be saving lives just by doing what you're doing. I mean, and that's huge.
Yeah.
And
For so long, I felt like there was nobody like me. There was nobody that could understand what I had been through. And so I've kind of taken I thought there was no light at the end of the tunnel. I had very little drive to get up every single day. There were plenty of voices in my head of, I didn't want to be here anymore. I wanted to be in the place where I was during my surgery, and it was a lot of that. And so I'm trying to be that person that can say, I do understand. Maybe a heart survivor, or a stroke survivor, or just a trauma survivor in general.
Yeah.
Who's been through some sort of trauma, can be like, hey, this kid is going through this, and he's still showing up every day and getting after it and working hard and trying to be better and not sitting around feeling sorry for himself.
Yeah.
If I can be that for one person or a million people, I feel accomplished.
yeah, you should feel accomplished. And it's not just somebody going through trauma like that. I mean, even high school for kids with no medical conditions is a traumatizing experience for some.
Just be a motivation for anybody. Like, I've been so hooked on heart survivors because that's what I've been through, but I've had plenty of people coming up to me and saying, hey, what you're doing is an inspiration. Now I'm doing this, or I haven't been through what you've been through, but you've inspired me to start walking every day, or to do this better every day. So and every time somebody comes and says that, it's just a motivator for me in general to just keep going.
Yeah. Now, are both of your parents still around?
Correct.
Still alive?
Yeah,
Okay.
both my parents.
Okay. That's good.
So is the heart condition, was that a birth defect that slipped through the cracks, or what?
They still have not fully told me what they think it is. They told me it could stem from having a specific illness as a child, which I did not have, having a trauma to the heart as a young child, and or having some sort of illness where I had a super high fever for a long time, but I never had any of those. So they relate it to maybe it was a very fine problem that just over time got worse and worse and worse. It could be a whole sort of things.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into the whole thing, but one of the things my parents were like, well, have you changed anything in your lifestyle and your diet? And I'm like, I hadn't. The only thing, again, I don't.
You got the COVID shot, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it all, but the whole conspiracy, I got the COVID shot. That was the only thing that changed in my life at that time of my life.
Yeah,
There are research that's coming out that's saying that those could have side effects. Who knows?
Right.
I'm not going to relate it.
Right, I get it. I get it.
It could stem from a factor of a lot of different things.
Yeah.
My dad's father passed away in his sleep at the age of super healthy at the age of 69. Just woke up. My grandmother woke up one morning and he was dead. And they never did any autopsy. They never did anything. So maybe he had some sort of condition like mine that never went diagnosed, and that was passed down, because I was told that it's not a high likelihood or a high probability, but I have a slightly higher probability of passing this down to a child, possibly one day if I have children. So it could be hereditary, it could be so many different things.
Yeah. So let's talk about the seeing your grandparents and your
Yeah.
during your surgery. Was it during your surgery, you said?
Yeah, so it was during my surgery. I'll preface this with before I started meeting with a therapist, a psychiatrist, I had no idea that the word near-death experience ever existed, and I had no idea what it meant when he first brought it up, but that's what I had, was a near-death experience, and it can be many different things for many different people. I've read many of books, and everybody who has a near-death experience can see different things, experience different things, but they all come down to the same variables. And mine was, you know, they tell you to start counting down, and they put the anesthesia on you, and everything goes black, and you just feel like you go to sleep. Well,
Yeah.
mine was a little different. Everything went black, kind of like normal, and then all of a sudden, boom, I was in my grandparents' house. Now, these two grandparents had passed away years prior. I was extremely close with them for my entire childhood, and they were probably the only other two people in my life, other than my parents, that I wanted to talk to about this situation. I couldn't, and boom, I was in their living room of the house we sold years ago, sitting in the same spot that I always sat in as a child, and they were sitting exactly where they always sat, in their chairs in the back of the living room. And it was a wild experience. It was very hard to it's very hard to describe. I say there's no words in the English language to describe what I saw and what I felt, but the way I try to describe it is like it was the most peaceful, the most stress-free, most loving, warm environment that I've ever encountered, experience that I've ever encountered. And as a kid growing up, as you can tell, my stature, I'm relatively short, and I wanted to be a professional athlete. And everybody told me I couldn't because I was too short. I always was doubted. So I always had a little chip on my shoulder of like trying to prove things to everybody around me, and that disappeared. I felt like, I told my therapist one day, I felt like I was on the beach, sitting in a lawn chair, listening to the waves come in, and I had no worries in the world. I was truly with the people that I loved and felt so much love and peace in that moment. And then nothing was said by any of my grandparents or me, but everything was realer than real. They had this stitched carpet or rug on their floor. You could see every stitch that was ripped that I remembered as a child. They had this deep wood paneling on the walls, and you could see every grain of wood. Everything was clear and like maximized to every sense that you had in your body. Your sight, your hearing. There was a light flooding in through the windows, and it wasn't like sunlight. It was this deep orangish red light that you could just feel was alive, that had this life and love to it.
Well, let's talk about your faith a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah.
But then I got sucked into another vision where I was standing on a mountain in the desert I was standing next to Jesus, because it was this godly, powerful, full of life figure that I was standing next to, and we were looking down upon a group of people walking through the desert, lined up 2 by 2, just walking through the desert. Nothing in sight other than these people. And again, everything was perfect. You see every grain of sand. I could see for miles upon miles. The light, again, had this life. The person I was standing next to had this power, but also this tenderness to him. And then I woke up looking at my parents.
Wow. That, I guess maybe because I'm old, I think about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when you talk about that
it's a very, like I said earlier, I denied myself talking about this. I didn't tell the one and only time I told my parents about this was when I woke up from surgery. I don't even remember telling them, but my mom has recounted the story to me, that I woke up and immediately looked at her and said, "Hey, I saw Grandma and Grandpa." And I remember I remember the face my mom had, and actually my words were, when they stopped my heart, I saw Grandma and Grandpa. My mom knew something was up then. She didn't say anything for years. And then my dad looked at me and was like, well, did you see Papa? Did you see my dad? And I was like, well, no. And that's a long story. We didn't have the best relationship. But learning now through a lot of psychiatry visits that you often see the people or the things that mean the most to you most of the time. Sometimes people have bad experience, but yeah, it was. People always ask me, and now that I share about it, and sometimes say they're jealous that I got that experience, or ask me why I feel guilty about my experience. Because I feel guilty because I wanted to stay there and leave my family. So I have this guilt that still sits inside me for wanting to leave my family back here. And I say it's not, yes, it was a great experience, but it's not meant for the human mind to comprehend. And I racked my brain for many years trying to figure it out, and still to this day, haven't figured out why I saw what I saw or what I'm supposed to do with what I saw. But
Now, before this experience, before your open heart surgery, what is your religious background? I mean, did you grow up going to church much? I mean,
Yeah, I grew up going to church. I grew up a Southern Baptist. Like they say, we always joke, my grandma, who was in my vision, she had a direct line to the man upstairs. She was the most faith-driven woman I ever met, and most Christian woman I've ever encountered. My grandfather was also very deep in his faith. He also had a near-death experience one time in his life. And I grew up going to church, going to Bible studies. I remember getting pulled out of school, elementary school, because there was this program that your parents could sign you up for to go to Bible study at the end of a day each week. So I grew up knowing the stories of the Bible, grew up praying, taking communion, doing all that stuff. And then when you start playing sports as an older, adolescent, teenager, that sometimes gets pushed to the side because you have games or practices.
Yeah.
But I was raised to always have a Christian mindset on everything, how you treat people, how you go about life. So I grew up very much like that, and then when this happened, I very much strayed away from my faith because I was angry, I was confused, and I argued a lot with God about why he showed me what he showed me, why he didn't give me answers, why he let me come back here, why he didn't let me stay, why he sent me back here, my purpose, and it really pulled me away from my faith for a couple of years. And then when I actually started going to therapy and sharing a little bit more, I started getting deeper into my faith, realizing what I went through is my gift. I was given it for a reason, and it's not for me to figure out. It's for me to take the cues from God and follow in the path that he has set for me. And as long as I take steps towards that path, he's going to lead me in the right direction and lead me to the answers. And one day, hopefully, when I die and go back to that place and I'm standing next to that figure again, he's not showing me a vision of what I left on the table or what I could have done or why he did send me back, and I can truly relax and be back in that place at peace.
Whew. That's some good stuff, Kyle.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Is that a typical experience for people that they, stop their heart during open heart surgery?
Yeah, so to work on the heart, because they cut your heart open, they have to stop the heart.
Yeah.
So anybody who has open heart surgery, they'll say you go on bypass machine. That's what that is. The bypass machine is bypassing the blood around
Keeping
your
you
heart
alive,
and
yeah.
pushing it out to your body, keeping you alive while your heart is stopped.
Okay.
So currently, what's your you have a job now? You work?
Yeah, I'm a second grade teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, and this story could go on and on for days, but that's
Well-
another thing. At the time of my surgery, I was working as a wine and spirits sales rep. And after my surgery, I came back very much of a different person, different values, slightly different beliefs, and a different purpose in what fulfilled me, what gave me joy in life, and selling wine and spirits to bars was not it.
Yeah.
And I felt I was in a dark place at that point, and finally decided this is what I can't do this anymore. And I had to do something that gave me a purpose and allowed me to connect with my community and also impact others and have that relationship with others that can hopefully impact lives. And I had substitute taught years prior and liked it. And when I asked my family, they all said, I said, I'm done with this job. What should I do next? And they all were like, why don't you be a teacher? And I was already thinking that, and that just solidified my thought process. So I found a job at a very developed area, low income environment, where I just school in that environment and got a job there. Just finished my master's of teaching, so I can actually be a licensed teacher in Kentucky. And yeah,
That's awesome. It really is. Your students, I'm guessing they probably root for you and stuff out there, and maybe they don't show up to all the races or anything, but
no, I don't share a lot of my outside of school life in school.
it's very inspirational, Kyle. I
Yeah.
really.
Plus, I don't want to. It's kind of a big bomb to drop on
Well,
7-year-old minds.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Plus, as you can tell, it's a very spiritual. Has a lot of spiritual and faith ties, and in public school, that's
Yeah.
also kind of a no-no. So I try to keep a lot of my thoughts and that stuff to myself. But I do share pictures of my dogs running and us running. So.
I bet they love
And
that.
co-workers have now found my social media pages, so I get a lot of, oh my gosh, you ran and did this, oh my god. It's like those videos you see, it's like, well, my co-workers found my social media pages and they start freaking out. So
Well, at least it isn't bad. It's not you
No,
go to the
that's right.
bar. and-
yeah,
Yes, he's not an OnlyFans fan.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's some
They're all-
stories about that
They,
stuff.
they asked me to go out to the end of year parties or Christmas parties, and I normally don't go to those.
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore. I'm now actually coming up on 2 years sober here in October, so that was a bad part of my life as well.
Yeah.
So we try to stay away from all that.
Yeah, so how was that transition? Did you feel like, well, I guess even going through your experience with your open heart surgery, you probably changed a whole group of friends anyway that you maybe didn't see. Not that you cut them. I feel like situations like that in your life, again, I haven't been through that, but
You can say I cut them off.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean, some
Yeah,
people
well,
get,
and I didn't do it for a long time, longer than I should have. I continued the lifestyle I was living, going out partying, going to bars, and it kind of became a distraction and a way to escape a lot of the thoughts and emotions I was dealing with.
like the real journey you should be on.
And I had friends that kind of were allowing me to do that. That's kind of why I was hanging out with them, is they would go out and drink with me and party with me. They weren't friends that were like, hey, you're kind of doing too much, or you have a problem, or like all that. So they were allowing me to do it. So, but then there was a night that I went out and ended up, I was down at the banks in Cincinnati and got attacked by a group of people, got assaulted. Again, ended up in the hospital. And that's when that was actually the turning point of my mental health journey. I say it was, everybody always asks me, did you go after the people who did it? And I say, no, that was kind of God slapping me in the face and saying, hey, I've tried to give you cues,
Yeah.
but now we're gonna give you a punishment. you need to turn this around.
Wow.
And you're on the wrong track. This is not why I sent you back. And that was the turning point of like, hey, I need to get my stuff together.
Yeah.
And I started going to therapy, getting back into my faith, and all that.
A lot of people wouldn't see it that way.
And that's
Kyle.
when I cut off
That's
all my
impressive.
friends.
Yeah. Well, I imagine there's a lot of friends too that kind of weeded themselves out. When people go through traumatic times or tough things, you can see them. And I know in my life, you see the people that you think will be there to support you, to kind of be, hey man, what can I do for you? Some way I can help you, or actually show up to help. And not to say you wanted help for whatever, but they're people that you never expect will be there for you.
Yeah.
And they just show up.
I get especially my sister likes to poke fun at me because I don't really hang out with anybody anymore. Stemming from a lot of that, I don't, one, trust a lot of people, and two, my personality now, I'm kind of an open book, and dropping a lot of this on friends, partners, whatever, relationships, whatever, it's kind of a big bomb to drop.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I don't hang out with a lot of people. I kind of stick to myself with my 2 dogs, and we kind of roll with life, try to take it day by day.
Well, I think, as I was saying, that people that sometimes will really surprise you, that you never expect them to show up, they're there.
Yep.
There's people that you figure, oh, they'll definitely be there,
Yep.
and they're not.
Yep.
When you thought they were your best friend,
Yep.
and they're not.
Exactly.
So life has a way of developing a path for you, and I think you're seeing that. Obviously,
Yeah.
the path that you need to be on will be paved. God will pave that path for you. Bring those people into your life that need to be in your life on the journey that you're supposed to be on.
Correct.
It's not a forced journey. It works out.
I have an exact account of that. When I was about 2 years after my surgery, that was kind of when I was struggling. And then after, when I started kind of putting my stuff back together and started down my faith path and down my mental health recovery path, for so long during those 2 years I was struggling, I had dreams of doing things like this with people like you all. I had dreams of sharing my story. I had dreams of helping others. I had dreams of using my story and doing cool and exciting things like this. But something always happened that pushed me backwards. It was like something bad was always happening. And it wasn't until I started down this path, all of a sudden, things started going right. What I wanted started happening. What I dreamed about started coming to fruition. What I thought I could do has now become even more than what I dreamed about and thought about. So it's, once you get on that path, sometimes it's a roller coaster with your ups and downs, but the good definitely starts to outweigh the bad. And I've seen that firsthand.
Do you think that roller coaster is more you wrestling with the journey that maybe you think maybe, well, I think it should be this way, wrestling with the path, the journey that God is actually providing for you?
Yeah.
Because I think about that in my life. It's like I don't want to call myself a control freak, but I'm a control freak sometimes.
That's me. Yeah.
Right, and we think we know everything, and we think this is how it should be. But if we just back off, a lot less stress happens. Things unfold in a beautiful way, a natural way that it's supposed to unfold.
Exactly. That's what my therapist and I went through a lot, was letting go of the reins. Because I am also a control freak. I like to have control of my life and want to control everything that happens. It was very hard for me to let go of the reins and let things happen how they're supposed to happen. And it's been definitely a hard, something hard that I have definitely wrestled with. And sometimes those roller coasters, yes, are me maybe denying what I'm seeing, my future as, or seeing in this path, not wanting to do it, or wanting to take another route that might be not quite as hard or as troublesome as the correct path, but it does end up, when you go down that correct path, it usually ends up something good.
Yeah, I think that's human nature though, right, Kyle?
Yeah,
Like,
take the easy way.
it's like,
Your brain
nobody,
wants to.
can we get there without suffering? Can we get there without all the pain and
Exactly.
all the work? Can we get the trophy without
Exactly.
actually doing it?
Yeah. Like sharing all this with a therapist, with my parents. It took 2 years to tell my parents about any of this. And there were many of tears shed along the road of me being able to come here and talk to you all about it. But that path has led me to here, being able to share with others what I've been through, and hopefully maybe however many viewers watch this or hear this or see the clips or whatever.
Well, you're definitely gonna get
It
20
can-
people like
Oh,
Kyle. We're
hopefully,
rooting
hey,
for you.
five people's good enough.
That's right. We might say
But,
one line.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Well, let's talk about any shout outs you want to do. Let's talk about your, Instagram, things like that, where people can find you. Of course, we'll post it on the video
Yeah, so
also, but
my Instagram account is kind of where we share a lot, is heart_and_hound. So Heart and Hound, if you just look up that, I'm sure you'll see our picture of me and the two dogs. TikTok's the same. I share a lot more of like kind of our running stuff on there. YouTube, I'm trying to keep people updated. That's also, if you just look up Kyle Rust or Heart and Hound, I try to keep people updated on the mission and what's going on in the mission. So yeah, trying to share a little bit more of my story there. So that's kind of the 3 platforms. Facebook, I share a lot too, but just cross-posting between Instagram. So
now you just started like this mission here. This was a recent thing where you're like,
started January 1st, 2026.
wow. Things escalate quickly. Huh?
Exactly. I was not expecting, this is, I think, the 4th or 5th podcast I've been on. Definitely not what I was expecting. I was not expecting to have already raised about $2,200 towards funding heart screenings for kids. That's almost 28 heart screenings that are going towards screening, giving an echocardiogram to a young athlete, a young adult who could possibly have the same issue or something like mine. So,
Yeah.
and then so it's been a whirlwind for sure.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
My mission is Heart and Hound. I have a full website, just kind of also on my Instagram page. It's in the bio, where I try to share a little bit of more of my story. I try to do some blog posts of kind of what we're doing, keep people up to date, and that's also where, if anybody wants to donate towards funding a youth heart screening, that's where you can do that. And yeah, we're also, like I said, we're also fundraising for the American Heart Association charity team for Chicago Marathon. So if anybody feels apt to support us, whether just watching or donating, we would truly appreciate it.
Great. And then you'll have some. I'm sure you'll be updating on the trip across Kentucky.
Yeah.
On your.
I'm gonna start. The goal is to definitely start reaching out to like news places and hopefully try to get it out there to more people. Maybe published in a couple articles or a couple of news platforms, maybe, and just see where we can take it. Definitely sharing and documenting the whole thing, mile by mile, day by day, trying to just share our fun run through Kentucky.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not too cold.
Yeah. That's awesome. It really is. I love it. You got a very inspiring story, and you got me there a couple times with Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, that's a tough one, and especially people who are very faith-based. It's one that can cause a lot of emotions and bring up a lot of personal thoughts about whatever you have dreamed about, or every Christian or Catholic, faith-based person
Yeah.
has thought about what will happen when they die.
Yeah.
And I say we need to talk about it more. Talk about with your family what you hope happens when you die. Talk about death should not be this taboo topic that we just hide from, because it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
So how about we just make it a normalcy? So then kids aren't scared of dying. People aren't scared of dying. Because that was one thing that I can say going into my surgery. I was not afraid to not come off that table. I remember I sat down that Saturday before my surgery and wrote a will describing what I would want to happen with Moose, where I wanted to be buried, what I wanted to happen if I didn't make it. And I remember being wheeled out of that prep room, looking at my mom and telling her bye and love ya, and not expecting to see her again. And it's something I've shared in my church, is death should not be this scary topic, and it's truly part of every faith. So that's my 2 cents.
Amen. No, I agree. I agree. And it definitely needs to be those plans like that too. I think that's when it is taboo like that, we don't talk about it. Then when somebody does die, it's like, well, what did grandma, what did dad want for his things to happen in his life,
Exactly.
What did dad do here? I don't know.
Yeah.
We get people involved and have them understand your life a little bit, and just
I say it should be a dinner table conversation. Something that we all sit down at the dinner table. I don't know, mostly some people, families, a lot of families don't do that anymore, but if you sit down at a dinner table with your family, parents, kids, grandparents, whatever, it can be, shed light on it, joke about it. I mean, I grew up in a family where it was joked about, like, hey, this is what I want to happen. If I die, don't bring me fake flowers. When I die, don't do this.
Yeah, joke but true, right?
Yeah.
That's really what I want.
Yeah, so it's like, that's why I feel like in that moment, I wasn't afraid of it. Whereas a lot of people, that's the scariest moment.
Yeah.
Is, well, what happens if I die?
Yeah.
So.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys
Your
having us
story's
on.
Very inspirational.
Very fun. I haven't ran with people in a while, so it was fun.
So again, make it a great day. Take care.